What's going on, guys? Byron here from ETA Kitchen. And today we're doing viewer requests. Now, Mr. Llama has requested scalloped potatoes. Now, me being me, I can't just do regular scalloped potatoes. We got to take this up a notch. We're going to start with a little bit of melted butter. And once this gets good and melty, we've got red onions, shallot, and green onions. Once we get to the cheese making sauce, we have halloumi goat cheese and some delicious shredded cheddar. For those guys who have never experienced halloumi goat cheese, I'm going to do my best to explain the flavor of it. The first time I had it, I thought I was eating smoked turkey. It is a cheese that tastes like smoked turkey. How do you go wrong with that? We're going to need a little bit of flour, and we're going to need some cooking cream. Nothing fancy. Whatever you got. If you just have whole milk, use whole milk. Doesn't really matter. So now, everything that goes into here is going to get turned into a kind of a milk and cheese and vegetable sauce. I guess that's what you would call it. I think there's a word for it, I just don't know what it is. So, actually, we're going to pause this for a moment. We're going to slice up our potatoes. And we're going to do that over here. We're going to use my friend, the mandolin. Sorry about that delay. So now, while we're going, we're going to do this now because what we want is to get all of our potatoes sliced up. We're going to do this one potato, and then I'm probably going to do half of a second potato, and we're going to see where we're at. I don't have a big baking dish, so I'm not trying to go too overboard and make more than I can, consume safely. All right, so I've got this set to make nice slices. As you can see, this is fun and messy and a little dangerous. So when you're using a mandolin, make sure you always have visual contact with your fingers. Make sure that you're paying attention. Now, there are some people who prefer the gold type potatoes, and there are some people like myself who prefer the good old American Idaho potato. But you're looking for a consistency of about here and a chip size of about like so. Now we're going to grab our finger guard. This is the first time I've used this, and I have a small confession to make. This is the first time I've had, or I guess I should say, let me rephrase that. This is the first time that I've made scalloped potatoes that doesn't come from a box. I've eaten plenty of them. I've never actually made them totally from scratch. So this is new for everybody. And as you can see, slicing it doesn't really take very long. And with only a tiny little bit of waste. Got one slightly smaller potato, so we're going to go ahead and slice this guy up. Again, Maintain visual on your fingers, because in case you didn't notice, this here's a razor blade. I don't know about you, but I kind of like my fingers. Yeah, you can hand slice it. Maybe you got a cool power tool that, you know, exists in your kitchen for slicing potatoes. This is what I got, so this is what I rock. That's weird. I didn't expect it to slice sideways or backwards. But once again, that's why you pay attention when you're using tools. I don't care if you're working on your car or you're working on your waistline. Always maintain visual contact with your sharp edges. Always. Actually, you know what? I think I will be able to get all 3 layers of potatoes in, like I'm hoping. Yeah, you're a good slice. You can stay. I don't know, man. It's a lot of potatoes. Tell you what, if I need to, I'll dice up a 3rd one. Now you're going to want to put these into water. And you're going to put it into water just while you're working. Number 1, you're going to want to rinse away just a little bit of that starch. Especially if you're using Idaho potatoes, there's a lot of starch in there. So you're just going to rinse away a little bit of that starch, and you're going to prevent the potatoes from oxidizing while we move back over here. Now, continuing where we were on the intro, let's saute us some veggies. Now, there are some people who do not like onions in their scalloped potatoes, so don't put them in. If you don't like green onions, don't put them in. This is just the basic recipe, so you do you. But we're going to take the basic recipe and we're going to step it up a notch. We're going to, into this wonderful fiery inferno of a pan, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of garlic paste, because I like garlic. And I like butter. And you know what's even better? Garlic and butter. Now we're going to go ahead, throw our onions in. And we're not trying to do a super fry on these. We're just trying to extract the oils that are inside the onions, where we get our flavor. And then we're going to move this to a bowl. So we're actually using a little bit of a lower heat than we would normally use to saute these. But we're going to be sauteing them a little bit longer than we normally would also, because we have shallots and we have red onions and we have green onions. So the goal is to get that beautiful oniony flavor out and into the butter, and the butter flavor into the onions and that garlic. I wish you guys could smell this through the camera. I might be filming in 4K. Man, I'm smelling in 3D. Alright, we're done making noise. We're going to put you on the time warp. We'll be back in a while. What's going on, guys? So now we're back. We've got our veggies sauteed, browned, and beautiful. We've got about a cup and a half. Actually, now we have a cup and a half. To this, we're going to add just a little bit more garlic. Just a little, not a lot. And now, we're going to get melty. We're going to start melting this here cheese. You're going to want a really good non-stick pan, or you're going to want to grease the ever-living Hades out of a pan that you do have. And the reason I say that is because if you don't, you are going to make a mess. I don't mean a little mess. It's a big mess. So we're going to get our handy dandy silicone spatula. Now, what you may not have caught on the time warp is that I have changed the water in the potatoes now. And they're soaking again. And again, we're just trying to get some of that extra starch out. That way we get that beautiful potato flavor. And we don't get any of the, not so beautiful aspects of eating potatoes. Now, once this starts to come up to a slow simmer, we're going to be really, really careful because we don't want to burn it. One thing in the world you don't want to do is burn your daggone milk. And we're only going to add about a tablespoon of flour to this. Maybe a tablespoon and a half. This is the first time I've ever tried this. So if this works out, great. And if it doesn't, great. You're going to watch. So we're just going to throw that in. Actually, you know what? There ain't but 2 cups in here. Worst case scenario, I got a bunch of extra cheese sauce that I got to figure out something to do with. I put it on some broccoli. That would just make me happy. Cheese and broccoli. Another immortal combination of wonderful goodness. And if you take the time to put garlic oil on your broccoli while you steam it, and then you add the cheese, oh boy, you're in flavor heaven. So we're just gonna keep on mixing. I don't know what happened to my whisk. For some reason I seem to be unable to locate it. We've got a man down, missing whisk. So we're just going to use Mr. Silicone Spatula, and that's going to be that. Yeah, take that back. I'm going to hunt for it again, just to make sure. I'll tell you what, using that spatula is definitely doing this the hard way. And the hard way it is. Yep. Oh well, what you gonna do? Win some, lose some, right? Now you want to break up that flour while it's getting warm. You don't want to let it clump up too bad. Of course, if you had a whisk, this wouldn't be a problem. I'm hoping that whoever's watching this video is smarter than the person making this video. I may or may not edit out that last comment. I'm not sure. But we here at ETA Kitchen, we like to show you the ups and the downs and the failures, the smiles and the frowns. So if we screw something up, we show you. And why do we show you when we screw something up? So you don't. We're just bringing it up to a low boil, and then we're going to start adding our cheese in little by little. And if this much cheese isn't enough, we got more on deck. So don't worry about that cheesy action, because it's going to get cheesy. If it was any more cheesy, I would have a cartoon cat chasing me. In fact, if this was any more cheesy, I would have to file with the mouse embassy. All right, I don't really know where I was going with that, but I'm just gonna roll with it because I don't care. I'm making scalloped potatoes. And if scalloped potatoes doesn't make you happy, I don't think you have a soul. Gonna give it a little of that hot stirring. Now, we are using full whipping cream. You can use, again, whole milk. Maybe you want to use skim milk. You can do that too. I'm using good old whipping cream because that's what I have. And we're all about making amazing stuff happen with what you got. All right, we're to that point, guys. Let's start adding our cheese little by little. This is the halloumi. And again, if you've never had halloumi goat cheese, oh man. If I had some feta cheese, I'd throw some feta cheese in there too. Yes, I would. And we're just gonna let it get nice and melty. And remember, we're using a low temperature. We're not using a high temperature. So this is going to take a while. But we're doing it for science. You know what? This is going in there. Yep. And we got more. Oh yes, we do. We have more cheese to throw at this. And we're just gonna stir. The flour is gonna help to thicken it a little bit. As you can see, it's getting there. Slowly but surely. And we're just gonna keep on mixing and keep on melting. Melting into your arms. There we go. Now see that? Look at that. Starting to get nice and thick. Super cheesy. Super awesome. This is an awesome cheese sauce. I can already tell by the smell. That garlic is working with that halloumi. And the most important thing you really got to remember is if you do use a goat cheese or a halloumi cheese, you really don't want to add salt until it's on your plate. Because the halloumi cheese is made actually in salt water. So it is a saltwater cheese, which means it's got some salt in it already. A lot of people may not realize that. So it's hard to oversalt potatoes. I will admit that, but trust me, it can be done. I know, because I've done it many times. All right, well, you guys get the idea. Let's put you on the time warp. And we're done. And as you can see, it's melty, it's herby. Now we're gonna let those onions and green onions and shallots just kind of combine for a few minutes in this glorious, glorious cow bath, as I like to call it. We're gonna take a little taste test. And that is awesome. Guys, if your sauce is whack, your scalloped potatoes are just gonna be ho-hum. And nobody likes a ho-hum potato. So we're gonna be back after we just kind of let this mesh. We're gonna wash our potatoes again, and then we're gonna get at it. And we're done. And as you can see, it's melty, it's herby. Now we're gonna let those onions and green onions and shallots just kind of combine for a few minutes in this glorious, glorious cow bath, as I like to call it. We're going to take a little taste test. And that is awesome. Guys, if your sauce is whack, your scalloped potatoes are just going to be ho-hum. And nobody likes a ho-hum potato. So we're going to be back after we just kind of let this mesh. We're going to wash our potatoes again, and then we're going to get at it. Actually, I'm going to use up the last of the halloumi here. Just kind of put it in there. And we're going to go back to heating it up just a little bit, so we can get that nice and melty. So we're going back on the time warp. Alrighty guys, so we've done the best that we could do. Unfortunately, I waited just a hair too long and the sauce actually started to thicken on me. So I just had to stick my fingers in, even though it was hot as hell, and just kind of go for it. So we're just trying to spread out the remainder over the top here. I made quite a bit of sauce, but I think if I were going to do it, I'd use a little bit less flour so it doesn't get so thick so quick. And we're just going to scoop a little bit of that. That is unmelted halloumi, by the way, just for the record. So we'll put that there, and we'll... My God, this is amazing. This is not a dinner dish. This is a religious experience, I'm telling you. This is amazing. So now we're going to take our handy dandy aluminum foil, shiny side up pile, shiny side up pile. For those of you who may be too young to have experienced the military or the movie Full Metal Jacket, you will not understand that reference, and that's okay. And you want to get this nice and tight because you're relying on steam to put this deliciousness up in them potatoes. All right. So to do that, we're going to pack the foil nice and tight up under the lip of the dish and roll it ever so slightly so that we basically have a nice tight foil envelope. You can see that perfect impression going all the way around it. Shiny side up, the bottom side is non-stick. A lot of people don't know that. So, the more you know. So now we're gonna pop this bad boy for about 45 minutes at 400 Fahrenheit. Then we're gonna pull it out, take this off, let it rest slightly, just slightly. And we're gonna put it back in for another 30 minutes or until beautiful and goldeny and deliciousy and just, guys, see this? I am licking my utensils clean. One, because I'm hungry, and two, because this is awesome. Some people, I don't know, your mileage may vary, but if you follow this recipe, you're gonna be in hog heaven. In fact, I think the only thing I could do just to make this that little bit extra oomph, shall we say, is to put just a little bit of chili in it. Unfortunately, I'm all out of chili. As you can see, the sauces are going good though. So, we're gonna be back in about 45 minutes to an hour. Somewhere thereabouts. What's going on, guys? Here we are. We've just pulled it out after about an hour in the oven. And now we're getting ready to go back in, uncovered. Now you might notice that some of this is a little bit congealed, and that's because, I apologize, I had something I had to take care of, so I had to just kind of let it come down to temperature a little bit, turn off the oven. I got the oven back up and running, and we're rocking out now. And the potatoes are almost perfect. Try this little guy. So you can eat it now, but the magic is going to happen very, very soon. So once the oven comes back up to temperature, we're going to stick it back in there for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to show you the finished product. See y'all soon. The smells that these potatoes are making must be what heaven smells like. We're almost done. As you can see, I've got a little bit more browning to do on the top there. Not much more, just a wee little bit more. So what I've done is I've turned on the barbecue grill function on the stove, and we're gonna let that rock. I'd probably say for another 2 to 3 minutes. That way it's just getting a nice intense heat on the top, and we brown that cheese beautifully. We'll be back. Warning, this video contains scenes of potato pornography. Look at that. Now you gotta let it cool off for about 20 minutes or so. That's the hardest part about making this dish. But good God, does this house smell amazing. So we'll be back with the taste test, and we'll see you in a bit. Alrighty, so here we are. Look at that. Look at that. Smell is a solid, legitimate 15 out of 10. It's amazing. Those potatoes are sick. I love it. They're so moist. So cheesy. Oh my God. All right, so legit, I'm gonna give this a solid, I'm gonna give this a solid 10 out of 10. Like, no joke. This is amazing. Having that blend of cheeses with the full cream gives it that perfect richness. I mean, this is The shallots give it some sweetness. The red onions give it a little bit of depth. And the green onions just give it that perfection. So, this may legitimately be, other than the avocado toast, the best thing I've made on this channel yet. So, Mr. Llama, this gets a solid double thumbs up. That's right. This is amazing. Doc, if you're watching, I'm only going to be breaking it into thirds. I'm not going to be eating the whole thing tonight, even though I really want to. The only thing I could think of to do better would be to put beef bacon. Alrighty, so I'm not sure how much of the last video came through, but this is a solid, legitimate, no joke, 10 out of 10. This is amazing. Because I don't know if the last clip came through. Check that out. Look at that. Look at that. It's perfection. Cheese everywhere. The red onions, the shallots give it that depth, that kind of nice sweetness. And the red onions give it that little pizzazz. And then the spring onions are what push it up over the top. This is amazing. So, Mr. Llama, you tell me what you think in the comments down below. And if you guys try it and you guys like it, maybe give us a like and a thumbs up and subscribe, you know? Help us grow this channel more. This is Byron, and you guys have a great rest of your day. I know I will. And by the way, Doc, if you're watching, I'm only breaking it into... this is a huge pan, about a 10-inch pan. But I'm actually breaking it into thirds so I can have just a little bit each day instead of going hog wild and eating the whole thing. But this really is fantastic.